So what's up, guys? It's Tony Barker here. This is episode 3 of my own process podcast. And I have one of my good friends. This lady kind of taught me a lot. I met her at a coffee shop in Mount Vernon, right? Yep. This is Zana Allen. I call her Miss DIY, do it yourself. Right. So
I like that you said you met me at a coffee shop.
Bro.
Because I love coffee shops. And it make me feel like I'm going somewhere correct.
No, it was. Then you saw me drawing the elephant.
Yep.
So
I didn't say nothing about the elephant.
You didn't.
Later.
You didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I liked was that you was very wise. Get out of this clown. But no, very wise, and like you just kind of teaching me certain things and telling me certain things. I'm like, okay, this woman is very intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then we talked about a lot. So you know, how are you?
Busy, productive. Thank you for calling me wise. I just been like growing my business and trying to become more homey.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of time in the house for the past like month, and I'm just trying to make a living off of my home.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to create a family more than anything and build wealth around that versus work.
Right.
Yeah, so that's been my focus, like mainly filtering out all the relationships that don't provide productivity and transference. Like I pour in, they pour back, or if I'm pouring money into it, does it pour back?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, is it building towards the future? Like I've been real focused on this space that I'm in.
I like that. So the homebody.
Mm-hmm.
And before I'm gonna touch back on this, I like that. So and first, like, where are you from? Like, where was your origins?
I'm from DC, Washington DC, Southeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay.
Yeah,
Well, you know that's. And so now you're in Baltimore. How did you get to Baltimore?
I came one weekend to visit my best friend, and he lived in Mount Vernon on North Calvert Street, above the Prime Rib restaurant.
Okay.
And I saw the view. He had a level 4 apartment, and you could see the whole downtown.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So I had like a nice introduction to Baltimore. I was like, oh, I can live here. And we went to the Uni Blake Center, and we walked there, and I went to an open mic night. I think it was like one of those First Fridays type events,
Mm-hmm.
and I met all these poets.
Yeah.
And like they had like this like celebrity poet headline, and like the black people in the audience was just like, it was like Love Jones times 10.
Seriously?
Like, they were really like black people, because in DC, like we don't have no like real revolutionary black culture, but it was just like everybody was just themselves, and everybody was like for the same movement. Like I don't want to say like Baltimore is very Pan-African, but it's like it's very like everybody's different, but we under one like
umbrella.
Yeah, and it was like, oh nah, like I felt at home.
For real?
The first time I came to Baltimore, I felt at home, and I was like, I don't want to move here. And then I left, and he told me, like, yeah, you can move if you want. Like, you can move in. Like, you just pay me, and, like, come on. And I quit my job, like, the next week.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. I quit my job the next week, and I packed up all my stuff and left. My mom was like, you moving? I was like, yeah, I'm moving to Baltimore. And he had his girlfriend come pick me up, and, like, I moved in.
Yo, that's wow. I didn't know this whole part.
The detail part.
That's dope.
Yeah, I was in a relationship at the time. And my boyfriend was like, yeah, if you go out there and find an apartment, I'll come out. You just got to find an apartment. I was like, what's the budget? He was like, at the max, $1,200. I found an apartment immediately, like a week later. And it was in this building. It was on the 3rd floor. And it's like a 3-bedroom apartment for $1,200. And he was like, I was moving too fast. So I gave up. I caught him cheating like a week or 2 after I moved.
Ouch.
In person. Right. Came back crying and broke up with the person because, I don't play. And then I couldn't get a job in my field.
What's your field?
Psychology, youth development. Couldn't get a job for nothing. Kept interviewing. So, and back then I was on a high horse. I felt like the world was at my feet because I got everything I ever wanted. I'm a spoiled child. Got a job at Lido's Pizza. I ain't had no money. I had to walk to work every day from North Calvert Street all the way to by John Hopkins. Every day, walk.
That's miles.
It's like a 40-minute walk. Walked every day. I had to walk all the way down to Orleans, then make that left turn. Like, you know that old shopping center at the bottom? Mm-hmm. Had to cut through that like abandoned shopping center, all that by the prison, all that. Like,
yeah, you in the middle of it. That's east. That's straight East Baltimore.
I went through some hoods. I knew I ain't belong, and I was like, man, I don't care. Got to work. Had to work from like 2 to 10. Then I got a job at Starbucks. So I worked from Starbucks from like 8 a.m., got off at like 1, had to walk to Lido's and worked it from 2 to 10. Then I found an apartment, and the day I was gonna pay the actual payment, he was like, somebody already got it. He told me that I had it, and I was like, you know what, it is what it is. So found an apartment the next day on like hot pads, and I was like, God, this is my apartment. Like, I just want an apartment, and it popped up, and I saw this apartment. I was like, that's my apartment, and it was in the same building with my ex-boyfriend. I was like, nah, this is my apartment.
I like that. I like that. So you manifested it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I did.
But you put that work in though.
It was like, I would look out the window every day at that city view. Like, it's either I'm gonna go get the life I want, or I'm going home with my mom, and I don't want to go back home to my mom. So I'll be homeless before I get there. Like, worst come to worst, I'll rent a room for $300.
You solidify your apartment, and this is a nice apartment, by the way.
Thank you.
So I like the aura. Like, it's like Erykah Badu, Andre 3000, and I'm missing somebody right now. A little Bilal, a little D'Angelo.
Oh man, I love Neo Soul.
That's all Neo Soul. It's like, so once you like everything solidified, what was the next step? You got your apartment.
I worked at Starbucks for like 2 years, and that's the first job I ever worked for long. Like, I always quit everything.
Yeah.
I'm very impatient. I'm very impulsive, and then I just felt like I got stuck at Starbucks.
Why?
Like,
What was the reason? Like, were they paying good or something? Or?
I made $14.25 an hour.
That's all?
And paid this rent with that little bit of money, and I learned how to live off of like $50 after I got paid in tip money once a week.
Wow.
And because I didn't have no money, I learned how to be minimal. Like, I learned how to make a lot with nothing, and I had like a lot of time to get creative. So I don't know, I just spent time practicing like tarot readings. I started doing readings online again. But then I got in another relationship. That's pretty much it. It's no other great story.
But that's because I remember you and I were talking about, and the woman and man dynamic. And to your point, I was going to get to that anyway. You said you was in one relationship, caught the brother cheating. After he promised you something, and then now you got into another relationship, and this is the same one.
No, so this is a different relationship from this one.
Right.
I'm very relationship oriented. So I'm motivated by a partnership. I'm not motivated by myself. I need a partner to like function.
And why is that?
Well, when I'm alone, I just become self-righteous and self-centered. Like, I'm motivated by my own desires, and I don't feel good to me. That's
like,
boring.
I remember you and I were talking about like the masculine and feminine energy of like a man and a woman. And I remember you were saying like, you don't realize sometimes you can get masculine.
Oh yeah.
So I'm asking, like, going to the self-righteous part, like, is that like the masculine energy popping up, or that's something different?
Nah, I just think I spent a lot of years in my younger life like trying to prove to myself that I ain't need nobody.
Right.
Like, I spent a lot of years trying to prove to myself that I can take care of myself. I'm good. I'm on my own. Like, I don't need my family. And then like that reached this peak, and I started forgiving my like mom and dad, and it was just like, bro, you lonely for real.
Yeah.
Like, you hiding behind all these things, and really you want somebody close.
Right.
And I would only let that guard down when I was in a relationship. And then like last year, when I got in a relationship with my ex-boyfriend from college, we lived together, and it was cool, but it was everything that came from around us. Like, we joined a running group, and like the people were real like communal, and I got real active in this like nonprofit, and everybody was like real communal. And like, I started being around married couples, and I saw how things like really worked, and I'm like, things are easier when you're around other people.
Right. Okay.
And so like, I knew something was off about me. Like, you can't live in your own isolated bubble. But on the other side of that, I also realized that my boyfriend wasn't like the man that I needed. Like, he wasn't like a provider.
Yeah.
Like, I needed somebody who was going to match, because if I could spend as much time trying to get it for myself, you ain't got to have it, but you got to have that same like passion.
Yeah, mentality.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think for me, and I don't know if it's biological, but I think it's natural for a woman to want a mate. Like, you're lying to yourself if you don't want a man in the house. I don't care how much money you got. You are lying to yourself.
I think that's real.
Yeah, it just makes sense to me. Like, who wants Like, who really wants to wake up alone every day?
I don't think anybody.
Like, I think it's like, if I lived like this for the rest of my life by myself, what did I do? Like, what legacy did I create? Like, selling products? Like, cool, yes, business, you supposed to contribute to work. That's purpose in life. But it's like, now you dead. And nobody's here to continue nothing. Nobody even remember you.
That's wild. That's real, though. I like that. And what was like, what, being around those married couples made you think like this?
Man, I joined this women's group with the organization 10 Day of Family. It's not even a group, but it's called the Sisters Dinners. And we'll meet every Wednesday at the UB Blake Center.
So did?
Now they postponed them. But we'll come together as black women and sit down and talk about real things. Like, do the black women dress appropriately? Do we treat our men appropriately? Like, how do we eat? Every Wednesday.
This is here?
At the UB Blake Center every Wednesday. And like, we would go, we would sit, eat vegan foods, and we'll be talking about it. Yes.
A lot of people don't know about that.
They need to know. 10 Day of Family, TENDEA family, go. They do community cleanups. They got the Man to Man on Thursday where men talk about manhood with men, and every Sunday they got the community cleanup, and they do the drawing board where men and women come together and talk about solutions in the community. Long story short, I learned what womanhood really was in like its, I don't want to say antiquity sense, but like the woman is a nurturer. She really is a homemaker, the peacemaker. Like, she's the one that's going to actually bring like that spiritual guidance and nurturance in the home. And this is one sister I go running with, her name Iya, and her man been together for years. Like, she a stay-at-home mom. He got his own business. She helped run the business. The daughter like a doula, like 14. Son in college. Like, they got their own fruit and foods. They grow in their land. I'm like, but they one brain and separate heads. And it showed me like, you can't try to maintain yourself and be in a relationship. Like, it's not realistic to be self-centered, self-righteous if you want to be a unit. Like, you can't really expect a man, especially a black man, you can't expect him to be 6 figures sharp if the whole society is against him becoming that. Now, y'all can get there together, but we talk about like how like the black woman is like so in love with our careers, but we not really putting no effort into like enabling or like uplifting our men, like coddling them and keeping them below us, and not realizing the role we play in the process. Like, we can't really judge black men without putting the lens on ourselves too. Like, y'all in the same bucket.
Yeah, I agree.
So it changed my life.
That's real. I would never, like, me being from Baltimore. I think we talked about this before too. Certain things you were exposed to, I was never exposed to, just based off, I don't know, maybe it's just like proximity, you think differently because you're there. So I'm like, when I asked that earlier, like, where is this at?
UB Blake.
Yeah, I didn't.
On Howard Street.
I would love to like introduce people to that, because that's like eye opening and like mind changing. So from there, you got understanding what it means to be a woman, a black woman at that, and you start to kind of like just formulate different thoughts, different different ideas to manifest in order to be a better woman.
Yeah, I became accountable. Like, I became mindful of the position I play, not only in like my life but my family life. Being present, educating my nieces, educating my friends. Like, tell my friends, like, don't go outside like that. Like, your house shouldn't look like this. That's not, you shouldn't be eating like that all the time. Like, but being like that voice of like presence, like, your house dirty, I'll help you clean it up. I'm not gonna tell you your house is dirty and I help you clean up. I'll help you clean up. You tired, you need somebody to help you watch your child for a little bit, I'll watch your child. God,
you offer actionable solutions.
Yeah, like, that's what I got exposed to. Like, I was like, oh, we gotta like really change lifestyle habits.
Right.
And so since then, like, I've been taking my herbalism like practice real seriously, like making sure like I'm helping people around me, like, you good, you still need a detox, or you still need this, but making sure like to follow up, and making sure, especially with the men, to be very mindful of the unique difference in the process. Like, even though we are the same culturally, we're not the same, like, biologically, experientially, like, there's real difference.
Yeah.
And like, to respect the difference.
I respect that. Like, what are some differences you can give an example on?
Like, you don't speak for a man. Let a man, if he says what he said, he meant what he said, let him say it. You don't have to agree with it, but don't think for a man. Don't denounce his experience as a man. Allow him to, like, provide. Like, it's okay if you know you got it, but allow him to be that hand in the pot. Like, let him lead. Like, know when to step back. Like, you can't really, it's like learning my place. And I think that I learned my place. Like, I can't be all things at one time.
I think it's crazy you said that, because, like, you said it in, like, a humbling way, where it's like learning how to be in your place, where I guess, like, the conditioning, when a person saying I learn how to be in my place, they thinking, you know, denigration. Like, you know, I'm lower. No, it's like, nah, you, at least from what I'm getting, how you said it.
That's how I feel.
It sounds like, no, I'm not saying I'm lower than him. It's just, I know what I'm supposed to do. Let him be what he's supposed to be. Am I getting it right?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Like, I love talking to you. Because, no, you're just, like, always eye-opening stuff. Like, you know, I always think you're more earthy. And spiritual. I'm more spiritual, but, like, I always see, I think I told you, I always see, like, down the line. So I gotta, like, always, like, this is how everything need to be.
That's how I was most of my life. Always in my head.
Yeah.
Always, it has to make sense up here first. And I've learned recently in the past year, if you want to be married, you have to date. You can't just say you want to be married and then you just in the house all day. You're not talking to nobody. Like, how are you going to get married if you're not even opening yourself up?
Ooh.
You know, you can't say I want to lose weight and then you go and get Cheetos every day from the store. Like, you have to, like, pay attention to your actions. Like, your actions is what create. I look at my hands a lot when I.
No, that's cool.
Because it's like,
you
these
have, like,
things.
Really,
like, it's this. It's right in your hands every time. Like, your actions is in your hands and feet. Like, you literally shape your future by your actions today. But you have to reframe or deprogram, as people say, your brain to stop working against you. Like, I had to learn to stop filling my mind up with knowledge I don't need. Like, stop reading everything just because. Like, if you want to be self-sufficient or herbalist or live off the grid, pay attention to how to save money, how to move money, how to live off the grid, like how to use herbs, like focus. Like, I had to learn what focus really meant. Like, move all of that extra clutter out the way. Start.
No, that makes sense. Like, and what I'm getting is focus on what really matters in your life. It's like, at least when I'm getting, like, all right, when I think about college, right? And I told somebody this before, I'm like, when you're street smart, that, to me, street smarts is enhanced common sense. That's because you're more alert, you're more, you know, you got a survival instinct. But at least they know exactly what they're trying to do. I'm trying to get out of these circumstances. When you get into college, you got to study every subject before you get to the actual subject you chose. And you're like, nah, why don't you just focus on what you really need to do? Some people don't know how to do it, but because, you know, they get into whatever way that's given to them. But the point in which I'm getting you're saying is, nah, if you want to be a mechanic, stop looking at geography. Go focus on what a mechanic does. Then you focus on your finances after that. You know, how to move, how to save your money. That's it.
Yeah, and if that's like, even if geography is into it, you might like to travel.
No, that's good.
Focus on that too, but we focus on drama, chaos, entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, we live in a world of escapism, and it's like, that's why we don't get nowhere. Drugs, all that stuff, like, that's all distractions.
100%. 100%. I like that. Like, this is why I love talking to you, because I learn more and more. And to that point, you know, what was, like, the first step you took to kind of, like, I know you said you went to the UB Blake Center, and you learned a lot from the women there and just the programs. But what was, like, the first thing, the initial thing you did to change that mindset after you got it? Like, okay, I need to do this. I want to be a herbalist, or I want to quit Starbucks. Like, what was the next step?
It might have been a step before that, but I stopped having sex.
Okay.
I went a whole year being celibate.
That's cool.
And I paid attention to how I treated myself. And I realized I did things because I wanted other people to accept me. on a very severe level. Feeling like if I didn't have sex with men, they wouldn't want to be with me. Feeling like if I didn't hang out with people when they wanted to, they wouldn't like me no more. Like doing everything off of my own emotional, like, I don't want to say shame and insecurity, but pretty much all those things. And then the world got real quiet when I started saying no. And then I realized, like, I don't have no real purpose. I'm just out here, like, basing my decisions off other people's, like, enjoyment. And I just started reading. I'll walk to the harbor every day because I ain't had no car and I ain't had no money. I'll walk straight down that street to the harbor every day and go to Barnes and Nobles and read books for like hours just to get my mind right. And other than that, yeah, I used to talk to this homeless guy. He used to be right by the monument, and he was just getting my ass about everything. And I was trying to get over this heartbreak, and he was like, I don't know who you dating in your head, but you need to stop intellectually masturbating yourself. Woo! And he was like, there is a man out here for you, but you so caught up in your head with in your head about how it should be, you gonna miss him every single time. Damn. And he's like, I want you to go to the store and get mango juice, and I want you to cleanse her gut, and I want you to get all that weight off of you. Like, you sick on the inside. That's why you can't attract the things you want.
You still talk to this guy?
He died like a year later. On the same step he was stuck on. He was homeless. But
how old was he?
I don't think he was that old. He was just probably sick. I don't know. Life is life,
but the fact that he gave you that knowledge and he was very intelligent.
He gave me the no nonsense knowledge. Like, he ain't play.
Yeah. How did you end up interacting with him?
He used to talk to me. I used to walk past him.
And then you just stopped and listened to him?
Hell yeah. I listen to wise people. I don't pay no mind to, like, the illusion of life, like class and status. That's just stupid.
No, I agree with you on that one.
But yeah, I listen when somebody is like, I can see wisdom on a person or elderhood, and he never told me nothing against myself. Like, he was giving me heartbreak. He was like, heartbreak advice. He said, like, he was like, I want you to understand one thing about men. There is nothing that's going to keep a man away from a woman that he loves. I don't care how much he's in school. I don't care how far he is. If that man want to be with you, he ain't going to let nothing keep himself away from you.
That's 100% true.
And he's like, that man is with another woman.
Is he talking to?
Yeah, he used to be on point every single time. I'm like, and I used to be against it. I used to argue with him.
This is the old you.
I used to argue against it, hard-headed, doing what I want to do.
How old were you at the time?
How old am I? 26, probably 24.
Sheesh. This the mindset though. It's like a lot of what you're saying is so real.
Mm-hmm.
And the brother giving you the knowledge. What was his name?
I forgot his name. I never knew his name.
Well, he still gave you the knowledge. You know what he is.
We knew each other's heart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He gave you real information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it changed my whole view of the world. Like, moving to Baltimore, you meet a lot of interesting people. But that was a real spiritual time. Like, I was very vulnerable. And I was, like, still learning about life. Because I'm young. I was just coming to the world outside of college. Mm-hmm. But I learned in Baltimore, or in Mount Vernon at least, you could learn a lot from the main people you talk to judge. And people looked at him like he was a crazy homeless man on the street, but I saw somebody way more spiritual, and life gave him the shorter end of the stick. But I don't know. If your words can make me quiet, then I'll listen. And it was just, his words made me quiet, and he taught me a lot. No?
You put them in your shirt.
I don't even know what I just said, but I'll put on a shirt.
If your words can make me quiet, then I'll listen.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's real, because I look at it from, I always go back to our first encounter. Every time I see our first encounter, I'm like, we started talking, and we kept talking.
Mm-hmm.
We talked for what, 2 or 3 hours or something like that. And you still had a meeting to go to.
Yep. I had like a job training.
Yeah.
For the company.
Back and forth.
Yeah, it was like 8 hours. 8 hours. 3 days, 8 hours each day.
That's wild. I ain't go front. But it's work.
It was worth it.
Now, like, are you working at the same job?
Yeah, I am.
We'll give them a shout out. You wanna?
I work for this nonprofit called Our Minds Matter. It's a teenage suicide prevention company. We create, I don't want to say we create activities and programming, but we create campaigns and activities for students to use at their school to like create their own mental health club, like be a voice of change. I think it's pretty cool. For me, at least, I get to create like all these new things. Like I created this thing called the Teen Advisory Council, and me and my coworker we work together, do like interviews and like create their roles and like making sure they stay on track. Like I'm not used to creating no programs like that from scratch or like hosting meetings virtually or I don't know, but it's eye opening. Like people really want to do something, and, like they want to make change, but they need some type of guidance or support. And it's like, damn, like y'all really trust me to support and guide. I got y'all, but it's been making me see how I do my own like business like in a whole new way. Like I self-limit myself, and really everything is just ideas and taking steps.
Just to manifest those ideas.
Yeah, my manager, she like a little 4'11" white woman, but she a boss for real. Like got a newborn baby, be in meetings with the baby on her chest, like different meetings all day, like real organized. And I'm like, she my mentor indirectly with life. Like she may be overwhelmed, but I be taking notes. Like you really can be a whole family woman and still make money.
Like you think get the business done. Your whole experience, just within, I don't know how long we've been talking, maybe close to 30 minutes. That's a whole life story within one, and you're not even done.
I got a life story.
Exactly.
It's a long one.
Right. So it's like when a person hears someone talking, it goes back to what you were saying. That quote you said earlier, like, if you can make me quiet, then I'll listen. Like, I'm listening. If I wasn't just the interviewer, I'd be over here like, take note of it. You know, I really would be just entranced. Because here you are, you're very focused. You got life experience.
A lot of it.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people like to hear, you know, and it's not just for entertainment purposes. It's not for, you know, escapism. It's like, no, it's something. I know, like, one thing I learned in life, your soul knows all the answers. So when you start running from yourself, your soul will start to talk to you.
Yep.
And it always talks to you, just so many distractions. But when you're saying something, I think a lot of people will hear that your energy itself is talking to their soul.
I feel like spirit speaks to other people. And so when people start prophesizing on my life or speaking light into me, I listen immediately. Like yesterday at the farmer's market, I'm there and a lady was like, hey, like, yeah, I see all your products, but what's that deck? And I'm like, oh, I do tarot readings, but I'm not doing them today. And she's like, oh man, that's messed up because I really want one. Like I really want it in person. I haven't had one in a long time. And I was like, you know, just because you said this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And her whole world lit up. I did it. She wound up feeling good in the end, gave me the money, and she went back to her stand. And her stand was right across from mine.
For real?
And like after she came, I was giving her a reading. And like at the end of the reading, I'm like, the advice I'm giving you is what you just made me follow. So I want you to trust it. She walked away and she saw me do all these readings after that. She came back. She was like, if I would have never asked for that reading, you would have never did all those readings. I was like, no, spirit used you to open me up. I was like, I might use the cause, but the universe used both of us. So I thank you.
That's wow. That's wow.
You gotta listen when it asks for it. Like, I don't know, I have a real spiritual connection with life.
You got to. I think if you don't, you're really just a, you know, a tangible object. That's all you are. But you really need to be connected. Like that's the source.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like that don't work for everybody. I've learned, but it works for me. Like
yeah, it'd be for you then.
Yeah, it worked for me. Some people are very grounded, and that's what's changed my life. Some people are real good at just taking necessary action. A little too much. I'm more like, yeah, take a little more risk. But I learn from people that do the bare basics of life, like functional. Like my boyfriend, he's very functional. Like
What do you mean by functional?
Like he's very. He claims it's new, but to me, it's just him. He has, like he's bad at envisioning 10 steps ahead of him.
Oh, I got it.
But he's real good at taking on the very thing in front of him. And I'm real bad at taking on what's in front of me, but dealing with 10 steps ahead of me. And so, like, I'm more the one, like, that's a bad financial decision. He's like, I'm going to do it. And, like, he learned the hard way from that decision. And then he'll, like, start planning the future. I'm more like, hey, you know, let's make a home together. And he's like, how about we just clean the closet out so I can add my clothes in? And I'm like, or that. So it's like, it works. But it's so weird. Like, I see he does. Yeah. And it's making me realize how much I don't do.
I get what you're saying. Because you're so focused so far, 10 steps ahead, he's like, all right, let me knock the one step off first.
Mm-hmm. And because he's so in the present, he gets stuck in a situation he don't like to be in.
You guys are two pieces of a pot then. You know, it's the balance.
It worked.
That's crazy because y'all really are balanced. Like, if you're seeing 10 steps, he's like, I only see this one step. It's like if you're on his shoulder, you're like, all right, I see land.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I'm swimming this first one. I don't see land. Mm-hmm. But you keep looking while I'm swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all get to land.
That's all I need in my relationships is balance. Like, I need a functional relationship. My mom taught me how, my mom always had a man in her life. Mm-hmm. Like, she was married to my father when I was born.
Oh, wow.
Like, all my brothers and sisters, we got different dads. But one thing my mom has always had is a man to provide. Like, she stressed it to me when I was younger. She was like, always in your feelings. Like, stop dating for your feelings. Like, if he ain't doing nothing for you, leave him alone. Those exact words. She got so tired of me asking her for money. And she's like, why you mess with him? You can't ask for anything. Couldn't understand it when I was younger. Got older, I was like, girl, I see why you like this. Like, girl, these bills are real.
That's like, real. How's she doing?
She got her man now.
I bet she
did. She manage all the finances in the relationship. She take care of him. She is whole little home health aide. She makes sure he's good. My family has taught me, like, don't do this stuff alone if you don't have to.
That's real because it's like, to hearing, I've always been family oriented, but my mom was always the type of woman where, like, she never brought a man around us. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of environment, obviously. Mm-hmm. You know, and we had guys in the neighborhood who were just stereotypical dudes, but they were like the warriors who really protected us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So hearing this,
and I grew up around fathers. Like, I grew up, my father was around, but like my friends, they had stepfathers, but they still had fathers. They provided for their moms.
Real men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like different types of men too. Like, got their own skeletons, got their own good qualities too. But I learned real early, like, I'm nothing without my father. Mm-hmm. Like, I was on my father more than my mother, so I know for a fact. But dating, like, changed my view of life, because outside of my neighborhood was the hood.
Yeah.
People ain't grow up the way I grew up. I was like, they like, you act white. I'm like, really? I grew up around y'all, but I grew up in a more stable environment.
Yeah.
And dating guys from the hood, I was like, man, why you acting like this? I'm judging because I don't understand. Or like, even now, like, my partner, he never met his father. Yeah. Ever. Like, he don't.
That's tough.
And like, it's some things I see, and sometimes I'm like, all right, you know, he ain't got the proper example in this area, so he doubts himself in areas where it's not necessary. Mm-hmm. And then that's when the feminine part of me comes out sometimes. I'm like, you gonna be okay.
Right.
And then there's time for the masculine side of me come on and be like, I'm gonna need for you to man up right now. Like, stop being scared. Because you gotta have both in you. You can't be a one type person.
Right.
Like, but it's difficult dating men that don't know what manhood is, because most men don't know what manhood is. They learn from the streets a lot of times, or the wise ones get mentorship growing up. But a lot of men don't be knowing what their job is. I had a guy yesterday. I walk out my house, taking everything to the car, loading up to go to the event, and he helped me put the stuff in the car. He's like, oh, what you do? I tell him, give him my business card, and he like, let me ask you 2 questions. Are you married? I was like, no, but I'm in a serious relationship. He all like, well, I'ma just wait my turn. Like, I really want, like, praying on my relationship to fail.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, that's why men don't trust each other. Like, there's no brotherhood.
Because the guy's like that.
Yeah. Like, there's no real respect for your fellow brother. Like, there's no respect for yourself. Because, like, you think if I left my man today to mess with you, you think he's going to trust me? I don't know. But there's no common code. Women do it, too.
Yeah.
All the time. It's like, we don't have no proper examples of what manhood and womanhood is supposed to be. So I'm not even shocked people do each other wrong in relationships, do their own kind wrong. But
I think it's a mixture of things. I think the one thing is just more so of like, you always think it's the grass is green on the other side.
And the grass is green where you water it. I'm learning through my own journey, like, how give the energy you want to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be very manipulative to people. Don't judge people because they didn't have what they needed growing up. Like, if you're going to date a man that don't know what manhood is, allow him to discover it with you. Like, I always tell my man, what did I tell him? Oh, I'm not going to hold your hand, but I'll rub your back. I'm not going to do it.
That is powerful.
And, like, he pays me rent. Yes, women, men pay rent. But he pays me rent, and the money he pays me for rent, I save. So that by the time we get to like $2,000 or plus dollars, I can give it back to him so we get a place together.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am more financially in a better position than him right now.
Right.
I wasn't always, but I am now, and it's like, I could be selfish and go shopping with the money because I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could pour the money back into him because he struggles with these things on his own. It's like a lot of women don't operate as a team. Like, we feel like because we doing good in society on average, it's all about us.
Right.
And it's like, I'm learning through my relationship, like, you can't leave your men behind.
Yeah.
Like, we be leaving our men behind bad. Like
what you mean? Like
I don't know, we taught to date like this.
Oh, like if you're not doing this, leave him. Like if you're not making, let's say, like 6 figures, and I'm making, and the woman is making like 101, you know, leave him.
But that's a mentality.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Like, I don't know, but that's the one thing I'm trying to break in women around me. Like, you're not gonna get nowhere thinking because you got a good paying job that you ahead of somebody.
Yeah.
Like, your blessings are different from that person's, but you're not ahead of somebody because you got more right now. You could lose that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now what? You still think you better than them? Like, no, you just got your own goods because you went hunting a different way than they went hunting. Teach them how to hunt smarter instead of neglecting them.
That's powerful.
That's how I be feeling.
No, that's powerful. Like, that's really powerful.
Really?
100%. I'm not saying it for shock value.
Because I be feeling wrong. Like, some people you have to leave behind because they don't want to hunt.
You definitely got to.
They don't want to hunt, but they want to eat. Yeah, you got to go.
100%. I got so many quotes, but it's like, I'm just not trying to say the quotes, but really just take it in. Because even to the point where he was like, you know, you was talking about the woman who maybe making more than a guy, and she leave the guy behind. And you're like, well, that can be you. Like, you can fall back. You know, like Mike Tyson said something like, you know, he said, the limo is only a step away from the curve. Like, you know.
You know.
I think everybody needs like a self-awakening. Like, I always think about myself to where it's, and I go through it too mentally, where I gotta take a step back and reevaluate my circumstances because I'm not better than someone. It's just that point of, you said it the way it was supposed to be said, and your ego allowed for me to check my own ego.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a mixture of things. I think it's trying to play the society route, you know, that social construction, but then also just insecurity. Like, you're not appreciating what's in front of you.
At all. Because we don't do what we love in the moment. We compromise. Like, I'm going to just settle for this right now until something better comes.
Yeah.
That's why the better don't come, because you settling.
Yeah. 100%.
With anything.
Where do you think that stemmed from? Like the thought of I'm gonna settle for this now, settle with this for now until something better comes. Just the thought.
Fear. Just fear. Literally, like the fear of what can happen if you try. I feel like everything bottles down to fear.
Yeah.
Like, the real question is, why are you settling? Like, settling is a lifestyle.
It is.
I just think it's fear, personally. Like, you afraid of losing this to gain something else, even though where you're at, not even where you want to be at to begin.
Right. That's like a broad answer for a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's fear.
Business, oh no, you don't think, fear, boom.
Mm-hmm.
This is really what it is.
I ain't gonna do that, nah. Yeah. Why? I ain't ready. You afraid. And then it's just baby steps.
Yeah.
It's not even like you gotta make a big leap tomorrow. It's like, say those boxes sit on that table for the next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 4th month, I finally like, you know what? I'm gonna put them on the shelf. Then the next 4 months pass, I'm gonna buy some herbs to put in it. Baby steps. But when you start to believe, like blindly into it, I'm gonna put them on the shelf tonight. And then tomorrow I'm gonna go to the herb store, pick up some herbs, I'm gonna pack some more, do some marketing the next day. Like, it speeds up. Like, your emotion of your life speeds up when you vibrate higher. Because you put more energy out into it.
That's real.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Like, it's not so esoteric like we think it is. It's not like...
I agree. I think it's the portion of taking action, the baby step part. Like, we think, even going from my experience, sometimes we overthink so much. We think, I gotta do this, I gotta get that, I gotta do that. Like, no, that don't work.
Mm-hmm. Write it down what you gotta do. And then be like, all right, what can I do today? I can't do that because that's going to take up 3 hours. So I'm put that for tomorrow when I don't have to do nothing. But I could do this today, Like, put those boxes in the closet if I don't want to look at them no more. Mm-hmm. But it's like making time to do, like, if I want to be an herbalist, what's the next step? You're going to need more herbs. Mm-hmm. You ain't going to be able to put them nowhere. Your bag's piling up. You got to get jars. How you going to get jars? You ain't got no money. You got to sell some shit. Or wait till payday.
Right.
Both works.
But you already limited the 2 options.
I had to choose my 2 pathways.
Yeah.
Or I could do something else I ain't think of yet. Mm-hmm. Ask somebody for money, pick up a new hobby, ask people to donate. But
the great thing is that you haven't even exhausted all your possibilities. You just examining some of them. That's wild. Mm-hmm. That's wild, man. Like, that thinking is what a lot of people need.
It's a hunting mentality.
It really is. It's like, I always look at it from like, if I'm not challenged, I don't feel like doing it. Mm-hmm. But when I'm challenged about something, I go. That's the hunt mentality. Like, okay, now how can I get this? How can I get that? Mm-hmm. So I can definitely see how you operate with that position.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, if I'm not doing this, I'm wasting time BSing, napping, ordering out. I'm going to call a friend because I'm bored. I'm hanging out. What am I going to do?
Just idle.
And we make a lifestyle out of it.
That is a lifestyle, too. Mm-hmm. Which is really sad, but that's a lifestyle.
We went out the other night with my boyfriend, close friend that he ain't seen in a while. And we were miserable.
Why?
Because they wanted to go club hopping. And we was in the club together for the first time ever as a couple, and for the very first time in a long time individually, like, miserable. Like, why are we in this environment? Like, everybody in here is idle.
Ain't doing nothing.
Nothing but looking around, drinking, fronting, chains, all that. We looking like we want to go home and watch Wu-Tang.
It's back on?
Yeah, it's back on. Season 2 looks good.
Yeah, I got to see that. I saw like a video with you God on it, but that's a really, really great show.
Exactly.
Yo, like that deserved like an award.
It do.
The first season was classic.
It is. We watching it now because I've been watching all of it. He just started watching
right?
it. Yes. He's so much about manhood. I thought I knew what men go through, but I didn't really know.
So what you get out of what man?
Man, like it was just, it's the different journeys they all take. Like it shows you. Like I watched a lot of black television growing up, but I ain't never seen black men on TV as black men.
Yeah.
Like it's either always being criminals or gay. Between that.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I seen a show where like it was like the spiritual journey of man, like black manhood. Like I don't know, like
It's real.
I know a lot of black men watch anime.
Facts.
That's where a lot of black men get spiritual guidance. But that's the first, that's the first show I seen that
That's
was
true.
black with men and provided spiritual guidance. Like I never seen black men being portrayed as spiritual. Never on television. And it was just like everybody you can't make an assumption about a person. Like that show teaches me like you waste all your time trying to blame a character. You could blame the mom for how she raised the kids. Or you could blame Divine for how he raised his siblings or like for selling drugs. And it's like at the end of the day they always trying to provide for the family and take care of the family.
Right.
And like they all had different ways of going about it. Like Dee's very loyal when he do dumb things, or oh dirty bastard, like he just love women and he don't know how to quite figure himself out, but he ain't no punk. It's like, but they all trying to like do the right thing, and it's just I don't know.
And that's life.
Yeah, but I never seen it from their lens, like selling drugs, like the whole perspective of like we not doing this because we criminals. Like it's just like we gotta provide for the house.
Yeah.
Like, we the man of the house and their father's around.
What? That's
It's just then like one of the fathers come back, and it's just like I don't know, but that show
that's life. That's...
it changed my whole view of like.
Is the second season or just the first
season?
The first season's crazy.
The second season good too. The second season's gonna be better than the first already off just 4 episodes. I already know what it is, but there's never no gems being dropped on any episode.
100%.
Good. Like I think I want more shows of black men being seen as something more transcendental than just a criminal. Yeah. Like it's a hero's journey. They all elevate piece by piece, and it's not like a straight up shoot. It's like a, all right, let me try this. Don't work out. Work for one person, but not the whole group. Like everything is just falling apart and lifting up at the same time. Like I think it's a real life show. I like RZA. I like him for making that show.
That's a wonderful and I love that show. Like you're 100% right. Just on the journey of man. Black men especially, because first on the market, I'm like, I gotta watch that.
Right.
I'm like, I gotta watch that. And then when I watched, I'm like, wow, like I did that. You know, like I remember those. You know, okay, damn, what's next?
And then they give you the lesson.
Yeah.
They give you the wisdom of the lesson behind every bad decision they make.
That's the reality of that's the hip hop, real hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you listen to an old school Jay-Z, listen to an old school Tupac, Wu-Tang, they always give you, it's not glorifying. They may be MCs, but like the metaphor is, you know, this is what I did to do that.
Yes.
This is the repercussions.
Yes.
It's like, so I'm doing all this because I'm funneled into this pathway.
Absolutely.
So to hear you talk about the show and how powerful it is and the wisdom that it gives you, and just like the experience of a black man, just young kids come from the hood, period. Especially with us, because about just how we can easily identify with it. That's beyond words.
Man, I can't wait to watch it again. I ain't gonna lie, the new episode came out. I'm being patient to wait for my boyfriend to catch up so I can watch it. But I watch Wu-Tang.
I gotta watch that.
It's humbling, man.
What do you think, like, you know, certain men should know about themselves? Or you would think, like, okay, this is something that you may want to focus on that you learned from being around your own boyfriend and his journey, and then being around the homeless guy who gave you advice?
I don't know if I've been noticing it more, but black men don't know what it feels like to win. Like, it just be like every win feel like a catch-22. Like it's an L around every corner for a lot of y'all. And that's been humbling me. It just feel like y'all can never win. No, like a lot of men bound to family stuff. Like it's that whole father-son dilemma thing on the inside for a lot of y'all. Like it's a lot of people weighing on y'all individual shoulders because y'all not collectively working together. So a lot of y'all carry individual weight. So for like every one man, there's like 10 women depending on him.
That's facts.
Because it's like there's not enough men holding arms together to work together. And I think growing up with a lot of uncles who are like married or are fathers, the reason why the women in my family don't really carry so much weight is because there's so many of them around.
Yeah.
But when I meet a lot of men, it's not that many around. So it's like there's this collective weight y'all carry that you could be winning financially, but you losing in your family area, or and maybe that just might be life, but it just feel like y'all don't really prosper. Like,
yeah, no, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's like, and that's one thing my boyfriend's slowly getting out of, because he feel like in the beginning of our relationship, he had to accept that he can't lead his life with two leading ladies. Yeah. And he has a child, and his baby mom don't like that he date me. And for a very long time in the beginning, he was torn between trying to keep the peace between me and her. And then I caught on. I'm like, you know that ain't gonna work for a long time, right? Like, you're gonna have to make the mental choice of where your life gonna go. Yeah. Like, you split between not trying to disappoint her and not trying to disappoint me. And then he made a choice finally, like, if my life going this way with this person, I'm gonna focus in on it. Then I noticed it's the same thing with his sister and his mom. It's like, I don't know who to, and it's like, you trying to be the man for every woman in your life. That ain't your job. And he's slowly realizing like his limitations and how much he's supposed to give. I'm like, always help your family, your mom, but you also gotta realize like, you can never replace like her husband, and you can't replace your sister's absent father, baby father. Like, you can't fill every shoe.
Right.
Like,
wow.
It's not an easy thing to like come to terms with at first.
Nah, I think a lot of I think mainly, African American men go through that. A
lot. And a lot of women don't make it easy. That's why I say y'all can't win, because y'all start doing the right thing for yourself and get a lot of pushback from the women in y'all lives. Because the women don't allow it. Because the women need the man to actually survive. And I had to tell my boyfriend at first, because at first he was trying to be everybody's man, but not taking care of the main house he in every day. And I'm like, you out here working hard for your child and your child's mom and your mom, but you come home to this environment every day. When are you going to realize that you're not taking care of me the way you need to? Yeah. Whole mentality shifted.
That brother did the right thing.
He been managing money better than before. Because it's like, you can't be everybody's man.
Ooh, I can understand that.
Yeah, like, you're not going to win trying to be everybody's man. Yeah, and the woman not going to grow if you keep trying to be the man, because a woman gets comfortable when a man's providing.
Yeah, 100%. And a man we get comfortable off of the thought of providing. Mm-hmm.
Y'all like to be needed. Yeah. It's in y'all nature to serve.
Yeah.
But, because you forget that they functional adults too.
Right.
Yeah, we start coddling them.
100%. They make their own choices. Mm-hmm. So that's
real. They choose to hide up under people.
100%.
They don't like it. They got the same condition. They might got it worse than us, but they ain't gonna never grow if you keep filling that void.
I agree.